Imagine a world shrouded in darkness, a world ruled by the cold and the unknown. This was our world, the world of our earliest ancestors. For millennia, they lived at the mercy of the elements. Their day is dictated by the rising and setting of the sun, their nights filled with the unseen terrors that lurk just beyond the dim light of the moon. This wasn't just living, it was surviving, a constant, desperate struggle against a world that was both home and adversary. But then, something happened. A single, fleeting event that would forever alter the course of our species. It might have been a bolt of lightning, a furious spear of light and heat hurled from the heavens, striking a dead, dry tree. Or perhaps it was the friction of two stones, struck together by chance, in the hands of a curious hominid, producing a brief, miraculous flicker. One spark, one tiny, defiant spark, that pushed back against the infinite darkness. In that moment, everything changed. That first flame was not just light, it was a revolution. It was the first time we, as a species, didn't just react to the world but began to shape it. Can you picture the scene? Our ancestors, gathered at a distance, their faces a mixture of primal fear and overwhelming awe, the warmth on their skin, a sensation never before felt from something they could control. The light, carving a sanctuary out of the oppressive night, revealing the faces of their kin in a warm, dancing glow. This was more than just a discovery. It was a revelation. It was the birth of community, the birth of culture, the birth of what it truly means to be human. The fire became the heart of their world. Around its comforting blaze, they found safety. Predators that once hunted them with impunity were now kept at bay by this wall of light and heat. The night, once a domain of fear, became a time for gathering, for sharing, for connection. Think about the profound psychological shift. For the first time, our ancestors had a shield against the cold that seeped into their bones. They had a weapon against the beasts that stalked them in the shadows. This newfound security freed up their minds. They were no longer solely consumed by the immediate need to survive. They could rest. They could think. They could dream. The fire didn't just warm their bodies. It ignited their minds. And with that warmth came a revolution in diet. Before fire, food was a raw, tough, and often dangerous affair. But now they could cook. Meat, once a risky and hard-to-digest source of energy, became tender, safer, and packed with accessible nutrients. The process of cooking broke down tough fibers and proteins, unlocking a massive surplus of calories. This wasn't just about a better-tasting meal. It was about fueling the most energy-hungry organ in our bodies. The brain. Scientists believe this is no coincidence. The advent of cooking correlates directly with the dramatic expansion of the human brain. This burst of neurological growth, powered by cooked food, is what paved the way for more complex thought, for language, for art, for everything that defines us. The fire was literally food for thought, the catalyst that allowed our brains to evolve into the incredible instruments they are today. Around the flickering flames, the seeds of society were sown. This was the first hearth, the first home. It became the central point of the clan. Here, stories were told. The day's hunt was recounted. Knowledge was passed down from one generation to the next. The elders, their faces illuminated by the firelight, could share their wisdom, their experiences, their warnings. This was the birth of oral tradition, the very first library of human knowledge, its pages written in the dancing shadows on a cave wall. Language itself likely flourished around the campfire, with the immediate threats of the night held back. There was time for more than just grunts and warning calls. There was time for nuance, for description, for sharing abstract ideas. The shared experience of the fire, a focal point for the group, provided a common ground for communication to blossom. It forged stronger social bonds, creating a more cohesive, cooperative, and resilient group. And the fire gave us the first tools. Not just the fire itself as a tool, but the ability to create new ones. What could be hardened in the flames, to create stronger, more effective spears. This improved hunting, which in turn provided more food, fueling the brain's growth even further in a powerful feedback loop. Fire was also the key to early technology. It was the first step on the long road to metallurgy, to pottery, to every single technological advancement that has shaped our world. Every skyscraper, every smartphone, every spaceship owes its existence to that first, controlled flame. But the impact was also deeply spiritual. Fire is a force of nature, both creator and destroyer. To control it must have felt like harnessing the power of a god. It's no wonder that fire is a central element in so many of our myths, religions, and rituals. It represents purification, transformation, knowledge, and life itself. It is the divine spark, the light of reason, the flame of passion. This spiritual connection to fire is embedded deep within our collective psyche. We are still drawn to it. We gather around bonfires, we light candles for celebrations and memorials. We stare into the embers of a fireplace, feeling a sense of peace and connection that transcends time. That primal memory is still with us. It's in our DNA. When we look into a flame, we are looking back through hundreds of thousands of years of our own history. We are seeing what our ancestors saw: a source of warmth, a beacon of safety, a center for community, and a symbol of our own incredible potential. They weren't just discovering fire, they were discovering themselves. They were discovering their ability to innovate, to cooperate, to overcome the limitations of their environment. The discovery of fire wasn't a single event, but a long, slow dawn. A process of taming a wild and dangerous force, of learning its secrets, and in doing so, learning the secrets of our own ingenuity. It allowed us to leave the warmth of our ancestral African home and populate the entire globe, carrying our fire with us into the coldest and darkest corners of the planet. It was our constant companion, our greatest tool, our most powerful symbol. So, the next time you strike a match or light a stove, take a moment, pause, and reflect on the journey of that flame. It is a direct descendant of that very first spark, the one that pierced the primordial darkness and illuminated the path for all of humanity. It is the spark that transformed us from clever apes into the masters of our own destiny. It is the fire that still burns within each and every one of us. The fire of curiosity, of creativity, and of the unyielding human spirit. One spark truly did change everything. It was the moment we became human. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story of our origins as fascinating as I do, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more explorations into the moments that made us who we are. We'll see you in the next one.